All right. That happened. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another scene for the Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York. We are setting this scene, of all places, not at the Sept of the Green. In fact, we are at Chad's mom's house because she doesn't need a real name. She's Chad's mom. Also, doesn't matter what state Chad is in. Still Chad's mom. So, at her place, which I believe is probably more of like a duplex or apartment type situation, multiple bedrooms. It's nice. It's not as big as it could be, but it's definitely big enough for a handful of people. Um, where 10 Point is very possibly Umbraside. In fact, having kept in touch with Aiden as she prepared things for today's little event amidst the unranked pack mates and their would be. And yeah, so she will be Umbraside, having spoken to a handful of spirits, having taken the time as they were moving things to the house to very carefully transport the shrines herself and find them a place of respect to reside. And yeah, that is where I'm setting her.
Aiden himself will send a message to Saoirse, probably like pull Styles to Packlink because it's just easier. With the address to Chad's mom house. For the most part, he's kind of kept quiet enough, not really interacting that much with Tim Point. He seems to be sitting in off in one of the separate rooms, almost like he's reading over something.
And after a bit, Saoirse will appear, knock on the door.
And presumably, Chad's mother herself will actually get the door, having been amply warned and there to welcome her in cheerily. With all of that good Fianna hospitality and cheer, and very possibly treating Saoirse very much as she would like a family member she hasn't seen in a long time, because she's just endearing
And
as
Saoirse will
fuck.
smile and be very cheery back and head on in.
Fabulous.
Dallas takes a little bit longer because she's coming from across town. And she's kind of at a late jog. But she doesn't arrive too much longer after Saoirse, but she does the same thing, knocks on the door, and when Chad's mom opens, she'll give Chad's mom a hug, and then will make her way in and find a place to sit next to Saoirse.
And is Aiden Umbra side or Tellurian side waiting for the other two?
He's Tellurian in a separate room. He seems to be writing and reading over something while kind of the chaise in front of him.
I will say it is not beyond reason that as the other two arrive, Aiden will be made aware. But Chad's mom will probably come do the little, politely wrap a knuckle on the door frame, let him know they're there. And then, yeah, probably go make herself busy, attending to dinner or whatever she happens to be up to.
About 10 minutes, Aiden will emerge, brushing his hair out of his face, carrying a little book with him. Has the bat over his shoulder as well as he's walking out, kind of swirling it slightly as he's almost kind of reciting a few words. You can tell he's obviously practicing something. As he'll kind of will lean against the doorway, and probably I imagine they're in the living room, so he'll probably lean against the doorway, like between the hall and the living room. Making himself known to the other two.
When he steps in, Dallas is probably cleaning her hammer. She's got like a towel, an old towel that she brought. She kept in the swag, and she's just basically got like a little, probably just like an old toothbrush, and is sort of just going in through like the design patterns and whatnot. But she'll look up and give Aiden a nod as he comes in.
You just kind of assess everybody. You know, he's not doesn't look angry or anything. He just looks very kind of calm, very quiet.
Saoirse will smile at Aiden.
You're both here. Good. Good.
Aye.
Just nods and we'll look over at 10 point and probably wait till Chad's mom does the usual Irish mom thing and you get tea and biscuits and shit. After probably many rounds of being offered tea repeatedly, Aiden will kind of just give her the head nod to kind of, you know, give us a few. And I'm assuming she'll filth out. And you fold his arms and look over at 10 point.
Yep, I'll have just because it's easier. 10 Point will emerge before too long from the Umbra, and while she is not battle ready, as it were, she's definitely wearing a very similar sort of shift to what she does when decked out all in LWOD, though the paint she's wearing this time has been darkened with ash and whatnot. More ritualistic than battle ready. And devoid of the bells for once, actually. But yeah, she'll emerge before too long. And probably do so right there in the living room. Giving a glance to Aiden. First and foremost, though she will actually she will probably first give the cursory bobs of head back rather than forward, mind you, because it's more of a token bearing of throat than it is the usual human gesture. But yeah, she'll then look to Aiden. I have spoken to both Stag and to Dana, Raya. They're listening.
Nod. All right. You kind of lean out of the doorway and kind of stand up a bit more straighter, you know, a bit more posture to him. Now, I know one of you wants to join. And we're happy to have you. It's just, this is the final thing. The reason why Dallas is here specifically as well is that certain things we're aware of and certain things we know, and all of us have a duty to ourselves. And with that in mind, we're going to do this the old-fashioned way, the way of our forefathers, with our All-Father watching and our pack totem watching. So I want the two of you, and you as well, 10 point. Oh, we just lost into shit.
The Weaver
Yeah, wait till
claims
she
her.
comes back in case she misses it. Yeah.
The Weaver does not want this union.
This is the intermission song. I hope it doesn't take too long. Oh, there we go. Yay! I was worried. There we go. What is the last bit you heard, ma'am?
It was, I don't even remember.
Had Aiden started talking yet?
Yes. Aiden talked and then looked at 10 Point.
Right. Okay. I'll just re-say what you're going to say. We'll just make this easier. So he'll
Okay.
lean up, stand a bit straighter. His posture will go like big, up and formal. All that overconfidence starting to spill out a bit. I know one of you wants to join, and that is going to happen. But we're going to do this because we've all heard things. We've all have things that we don't like to admit to ourselves. So, with that in mind, and with certain figures watching this, we're going to do this the old-fashioned way, the way of our forefathers. All of us here are descended from the one people. Whether we are that tribe or not, we follow that totem. So, all three of you, he'll take slowly as he begins to pace, folding his arms back, and we'll look over, looking each one of them in the eye. I want each one of you to swear an oath. First to me as the Alpha, and then to this pack. Before the eyes of Stag and Dana herself.
Saoirse will nod.
And 10 Point nods as well. She probably looks a little distant and is probably in a familiar way on something. Her eyes are kind of flitting now and again as though she's seeing things that aren't there.
Dallas just has an inquisitive look, but she doesn't say anything.
He'll pace around. I want you to swear loyalty to this pack. I want you to swear loyalty to me as an Alpha. I want all of you, that whatever business you have outside of this nation, whatever mates you choose, whatever things you bring, they don't interfere with our pack business. They don't interfere with our nation, and they don't know about where we sleep, where we eat. They don't know about us, and they're not involved with us. These are the sacrifices we must make. And more importantly, and then probably the most fundamental thing, that whatever conflicts we have, that pause, rub the back of his head again, crack his neck, that we recognize each other as family.
Dallas looks over at Saoirse, not wanting to interrupt her.
Saoirse looked to Aiden. I swear to all of it. You as Alpha, to this pack. Family.
And nod slowly. And we'll wait for the other two.
And 10 Point will glance to see if, essentially to give Dallas the opportunity to go first if she wishes.
She lets 10 Point have it.
And yeah, 10 Point will even go so far as to fold down to a knee. Her expressions, she's a little distracted looking. The eyes flick now and again. Though she manages, with only the slightest struggle, to tip back her chin. I swear my loyalty to Uriah as our Alpha. I swear my loyalty to our pack under Dana. And first and foremost, as we do our dealings with each other, I will never forget that this pack is my family. The nation will be separate from outside the nation, and the nation will come first.
And if that's all 10 Point says.
Yep.
Dallas will, she'll take a breath and then she'll look it up at Aiden. Been through a fair amount of hardships as of late. But the oaths we swore to each other months ago, the three of us, when we thought it was only going to be the three of us, still apply. I told you that when you became alpha of this pack that I would follow you. And the conversation we had at Owen's place, I made the promise to you there that my personal life wouldn't get in the way of what we do here.
Fold his arms.
No matter how many times we butt heads, it's not going to be an issue of me ever being disloyal or ever putting this pack in jeopardy. So I can reaffirm these promises, these vows, into this now.
He'll look at all three of them. Get on one knee.
Saoirse does.
Alice does.
10 Point remains there.
You reach over. All three of you know Aiden's father's razors. He takes it in his hand and he moves very slowly to each of them and does a small little line on the side of her cheek, each of their cheeks. Being very careful that when the blood touches the blade, he almost just turns it away very carefully, dripping each of their blood into his hand. Then they can kind of slide there. And then he will repeat the process of making small little symbols on their forehead and both cheeks. One is the symbol of stag, the other is the symbol of Dana, and the other is a symbol of Hearn. Each will be on their cheeks in a pattern of threes. And he will turn on his heel and look over at each of them. And kind of, again, give a very measured glance. By your blood, by your oath, this you have sworn. This will hold you to the very days you die, until all eternity. Is Kagan agus Cree agus more, is a saying back home. By my blood's death and my blood's will. And I'll hold you to that. As well as these all people around us, even though we can't feel them. Your ancestors will. For each of you, whether Fenrir or Fianna, are bound to this oath. Now rise as members of this pack, of this family.
And unless the STs later deign to do it differently, I will assume that with that, Saoirse will probably be accepted and flooded into the pack link.
Yes.
So she will very, especially like as she rises with those, the sealing words will suddenly feel the mental presences again, the kind of familiar white noise of a pack link.
Which brings Saoirse to tears. So,
And while I can't speak for the rest, I can say at least that, as she has experienced many times through Mindspeak, 10 points kind of touch with the pack link is one that is very immersive. The point where she is readily perceived and read through it. There's no real privacy per se, at least for her. So she'll feel, like, especially as she's moved to tears, she'll feel the immediate kind of flush of empathy. And luckily a hand on her shoulder to boot.
which Saoirse will graciously accept. So, yeah, she will. Nod her head to Aiden. Say, thank you, Raya.
Nod slowly. 10 point. Bring us to the Umbra. They're about to hear this entire Umbral city. And that entire sept is about to hear us.
Of course, Rhea. And a glance will be made before she shifts across to Dallas. The usual kind of cursory glance for, like, this isn't P&E, it's just assessing what's right there on the surface, expression-wise.
I cut out there. What?
Oh, she's basically, before she steps across, is shooting a side glance to Dallas. Like, the usual, this isn't a P&E, she's not going to perceive anything that isn't, like, freely worn on her face. But just the quick, like, assessment glance of her expression to see if there's anything showing.
Yeah, pretty much on Dallas's face, it's just kind of this easygoing, not really easygoing, but just sort of this measured level of calmness. Something she's been working on.
And yeah, before she pulls a lot of them across, there's kind of this blissed out grin. And she can probably be heard muttering something like, and so we grow. And yeah, she'll shuttle everyone across to the Umbra.
Woohoo!
Likely still, even as the gauntlet is parted and they appear on the other side, we'll still have the hand on Saoirse's shoulder as a physical anchor.
And yeah, Aiden will start roaring and howling in the Umbra like a fucking wild demon.
Dallas joins in. Her howl's more of just a single long kind of bellowing rumble that comes out with those high tones of a howl.
Yeah, 10 point will join the cacophony.
As will Saoirse.
And is there anything else you'd all like to do? Or we can do a separate scene if you like for like just general social interactions in the wake of it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I will close this one as the official welcome party and say thank you, players, for playing and watchers for watching. And we will see you next time as the Seekers grow.